Welcome back to this channel. Today we're going to explore the empty need we humans have to control everything, when in truth, everything arrives without being chased. Have you noticed how much you try to control every detail of your life, from how people should behave to the exact moment when things are supposed to happen? And yet, the more you try to control, the more anxious you feel, the more everything slips through your fingers. I invite you to stay until the end to find answers and reflections to your deepest questions. Let's begin. Alan Watts used to say that human suffering arises largely from the attempt to control the uncontrollable. And he didn't say it as a criticism, but as a compassionate observation. Human beings fear chaos so much that they end up drowning in their own attempt to impose order. Letting go doesn't mean giving up. Letting go means trusting. It's recognizing that life moves with its own rhythm, and that rhythm doesn't always match ours. Letting go is remembering that the universe has been flowing for millions of years without your supervision. The problem isn't that we have desires, it's that we believe life must fulfill them exactly as we imagine, precisely when we want, and when it doesn't, we suffer. But as Watts would say, the secret of happiness is not getting what you want, but wanting what you already have. Imagine you're carrying a backpack full of stones. Each stone represents something you cling to. A fear, an expectation, a person, an idea of who you should be. You move forward but feel heavy. Each step hurts a little more, until suddenly you stop, take a breath, and decide to drop one stone, just one. Immediately you feel a subtle relief, a lightness you didn't know was possible. That's what letting go is, dropping what you no longer need, so you can walk more freely, not because you abandon the path, but because you understand that you can't walk it while carrying everything. Alan Watts explained that life is not a war, it's a dance, and no one can dance with clenched fists. Letting go is opening your hands, not to surrender, but to allow the melody of the moment to move you gracefully. Sometimes we resist letting go because we confuse control with safety. We think, if I don't control it, everything will collapse. But Watts warned that this thought is an illusion. Trying to control the world is like trying to hold water. You can feel it for an instant, but the tighter you squeeze, the faster it disappears. And here lies an essential Buddhist teaching. Everything changes. Nothing is permanent, neither joy nor pain, neither people nor circumstances. The wise called this impermanence, and understanding it isn't depressing, it's liberating. When you accept that nothing lasts forever, you stop clinging to what hurts and learn to enjoy what you have while it's here. You stop resisting change and begin to flow with it. Alan Watts said that the problem with the modern mind is that it wants to live as if life were a photograph, when in reality it is a river, and a river that doesn't flow stagnates. Letting go then isn't losing control. It's stopping the fight against the current. It's looking at the river and saying, I trust your direction. And in that act, something profound happens. Anxiety dissolves, fear calms down, the body breathes again, and you discover that it wasn't the world drowning you. It was you, holding your breath too tightly. Watts used to tell a simple story to illustrate this. A man fell into a river, and terrified, fought against the current, thrashing to keep from sinking. But the harder he struggled, the more water he swallowed. Until exhausted, he surrendered. He let the current carry him, and that's when, without effort, he began to float. That is the wisdom of letting go. Letting life hold you, not because you don't care, but because you trust. Deep down, what we fear losing most aren't things themselves, but the feeling of control. Yet control is nothing more than a mirage that keeps us tense, watchful, and exhausted. And when you finally release it, you realize life never needed your control to work. The sun rises without your permission. The tides rise and fall without your command. Your heart beats without you having to remind it. Do you really think the universe needs you to tell it how to flow? Letting go then means aligning yourself with the natural intelligence of life. The intelligence Watts called the wisdom of spontaneity, because what is spontaneous, what happens effortlessly, is what is most authentic. When you let go, you regain your true power, not the power of control, but the power of presence, the power to respond, not react, the power to remain in peace, even when things don't go as planned. And curiously, when you let go, what was uncertain becomes clear, what seemed lost returns, what you thought you desperately needed becomes irrelevant, because by releasing the desire to have, you make room to receive. Life never takes anything from you without reason. It's preparing you for something new, but you can't receive the new with your hands full of the past. Watts used to say that life is like breathing. You inhale and exhale, you take and release. If you only inhaled, you would die. And yet that's what we do when we cling. We try to hold everything, even what has already fulfilled its purpose. Wisdom is learning to exhale without fear, to let things go, knowing that as long as you breathe, life continues. So ask yourself, what are you trying to control today? Who or what are you holding on to so tightly that you've forgotten to enjoy the present moment? There's nothing to lose in letting go, only the weight that keeps you from flying. Alan Watts explained that letting go is not a technique, it's an understanding. When you truly realize that nothing is permanent, attachment dissolves by itself. You don't have to do anything, just see. It's like waking up from a dream in which you were fighting a shadow, only to realize the shadow existed because you kept projecting it. That's why letting go is not an act of weakness, but of wisdom. It's looking at chaos and smiling. It's trusting that even confusion has its purpose, and in that instant, effortlessly, you fall into harmony with life. In the next steps, we'll explore how that harmony is cultivated from within, how a receptive mind, a mind that doesn't seek, demand, or control, can completely transform how you experience the world. But before we move forward, remember this: what you let go of doesn't take anything truly yours away. It only clears the path so you can receive what has always belonged to you, your inner peace. Toward the receptive mind, Alan Watts used to say that the human mind is like a lake. When it's stirred by the winds of desire or fear, its surface distorts, and the reflection of the sky is lost. But when the wind calms, the water becomes clear, and you can see the bottom, the sky, and even yourself. That clarity is what he called a receptive mind. A receptive mind is not passive. It's not a mind that gives up or shuts down. It's a mind that is open, available to life exactly as it is, without the constant filter of judgment, comparison, or control. Watts explained it like this: the receptive mind doesn't seek to understand the world. It contemplates it. It doesn't try to fix it. That allows it to be. Think about this. How many times have you missed the beauty of a moment because you were trapped in your thoughts? You've stood before a sunset, and instead of feeling it, you've analyzed it. You've looked at someone you love and thought about what might happen tomorrow. You live more in your ideas than in your experience. That isn't living, that's commenting on life as it happens. The receptive mind is the opposite: presence without commentary, attention without demand, observation without the urge to change anything. Watts said that the problem of modern thinking is that we believe we only exist when we're thinking, and that's why our minds never stop talking. But in truth, consciousness doesn't depend on thought. Thought is merely a wave within the ocean of awareness. You are the ocean, not the waves, he said. Let the waves move without trying to stop them. When you understand this, something profound happens. The mind softens. The inner voice that always wants to be right becomes a distant echo. You are no longer trapped in the noise of your thoughts. You begin to hear the silence between them, and within that silence lies everything. There is peace, clarity, inspiration. That is where spontaneous wisdom is born. Not from effort, but from stillness. Alan Watts compared it to music. In a melody, the notes matter, but what gives meaning to the music is the space between them. In the same way, thoughts matter, but true understanding arises from the space around them. When your mind is receptive, you don't force answers, you allow them. They come like a soft breeze through an open window. That's the key. A closed mind tries to push, deduce, and force understanding. A receptive mind simply opens, and understanding arises effortlessly. The receptive mind doesn't cling to the past or rush toward the future. It is here now, and that changes your entire relationship with life. Because when you are present, problems aren't as big, thoughts don't rule you, emotions stop being storms and become passing clouds. Watts expressed it brilliantly. You are not the storm. You are the sky that holds it. Imagine living like that, with a mind so vast that nothing can fully disturb it. where every experience, good or bad, has its place, its purpose, its dance within the whole. Buddhism teaches that the root of suffering lies in identification with thought, believing that you are your ideas, your emotions, your plans. But when your mind becomes receptive, you discover that you can observe everything without becoming it, and that distance is liberation. Suddenly, you can look at fear without being fear. You can look at sadness without becoming sadness. You can look at desire without losing yourself in it. That is what Watts called the witnessing consciousness, the state in which life continues to unfold, but you are no longer entangled in every one of its scenes. A receptive mind is also a grateful mind, because when you're not busy demanding what's missing, you begin to notice what's already here, and what's here is always more than you imagine. Watts used to say that the miracle isn't walking on water, it's walking on the earth and realizing how astonishing it is to be alive. When your mind is open, even the simplest things become sacred. The smell of coffee in the morning, the laughter of a friend, the sound of wind through the leaves, everything becomes a reminder that life is not somewhere else, it's happening right now. But reaching this receptive mind doesn't happen by fighting thought. You can't force yourself into peace. Peace arrives when you stop chasing it. As Watts said, the way to rest is not to fight insomnia, but to stop worrying about sleep. And that applies to everything, to happiness, to love, to spiritual awakening. When you stop desperately seeking, what was invisible appears by itself, because the act of seeking creates the illusion of distance. But the truth is, you were never far away. That's the profound teaching of Buddhism that fascinated Alan Watts so deeply. There's nothing to achieve, because you already are what you're looking for. Only a receptive mind can grasp this without words. Only when you stop analyzing do you truly understand. Watts said, "Don't meditate to get something, meditate because you already have everything, you just need to remember." A receptive mind doesn't fear emptiness. It loves it, because it understands that emptiness isn't absence, it's possibility. Just as the space within a cup allows it to hold wine, inner silence allows life to fill you. That's why silence isn't the end of thought. It's its root. And when you connect with that root, nothing can disturb you too much. You could lose everything, money, reputation, certainty, and still feel an inner base of calm, because that calm doesn't depend on what's outside, but on your relationship with what's inside. That is true freedom, and only a receptive mind can experience it. So ask yourself, are you willing to stop interpreting life and start listening to it? To stop searching for answers and allow silence to whisper them to you. Remember, a closed mind tries to control. An open mind allows understanding, and in that silent understanding, the universe stops being a problem to solve and becomes a symphony to enjoy. The great role of trust. Alan Watts often said that trust is the invisible bridge between chaos and peace. You cannot see it, you cannot touch it, yet it holds everything together. We spend our lives trying to secure every detail, the future, love, money, health. We want guarantees, we want promises, we want to know that everything will turn out fine, and yet life has never signed a contract with anyone. Watts would explain this with his usual humor. Being born was your first act of trust. You didn't ask to come, you simply arrived, and the universe held you. Trust, in its deepest sense, is not a rational act. It's a spiritual gesture to look into uncertainty and whisper, "It's all right, I don't understand, but I'm still here." Because when you try to control every aspect of life, you separate yourself from the natural flow of the universe, and Alan Watts said this separation is the very root of modern anxiety. We think we are the pilot when in fact we are the wave of the ocean. The wave doesn't need to understand the sea to move. It simply flows with it. That is trust. Trust is not crossing your arms. Many mistake trust for laziness, waiting idly for miracles, but Watts clarified, trust is not passivity. It's cooperation with life. It's the meeting point between conscious action and inner surrender. You still act, yes, you still choose, but you do it from serenity, not from panic. When you trust, your actions lose the flavor of fear. You no longer move out of anxiety, but out of inspiration. You no longer run to avoid pain. You walk because you enjoy the path, Watts said. The man who acts without anxiety is in harmony with the Tao. That doesn't mean life is always easy. It means that even when it isn't, you sense that every experience fits within a greater order you can't fully see. Faith without an object. Traditional religion links faith to belief in something, a god, a promise, a result, but Alan Watts spoke of a more radical kind of faith. Faith without an object, the kind of trust that doesn't need a because. To trust life is not to believe there will be no storms, he said, but to know you can dance in the rain. That kind of faith arises when you understand that you and life are not separate. The same power that moves the stars beats in your heart. The same intelligence that makes cherry trees blossom guides your steps. So what is there to fear? Watts would laugh and say, "We claim to trust God, but we still check the lock 3 times before bed." It's not about denying prudence. It's about remembering that absolute safety doesn't exist. And once you accept that, anxiety loses its grip. Control is an illusion, but trust is freedom. The wisdom of not knowing in a world obsessed with answers. Trust is the art of not knowing. And still moving forward, Watts said that the true sage is not the one who knows everything, but the one who feels comfortable inside the mystery. The purpose of life is not to understand it, he said, but to live it. When you trust, you don't need the whole map. You take one step and the next appears. That's how the spiritual path unfolds. The ego demands guarantees. Life offers only opportunities. The mind says, "Show me the destination and then I'll walk." The soul replies, "Walk and the destination will show itself." Trust as Aleshami trust transforms your energy. It dissolves fear, turns doubt into curiosity, and chaos into dance. Watts compared it to learning how to swim. When you first dive into the water, your instinct is to resist, to thrash your arms desperately, but the more you struggle, the more you sink. Only when you relax does the water hold you. Life works the same way. It doesn't hold you because you force it, it holds you because you surrender. To trust is an act of spiritual intelligence. It's recognizing that life knows more than your mind. Your mind plans, but life improvises. And somehow, in its mysterious improvisation, it always turns out perfect. Trust in time, Alan Watts would repeat over and over. Time is not against you, time is you. We grow impatient because we believe life moves too slowly. But time doesn't make mistakes. Things don't happen late. They happen when they're ready, and when you are ready, trust the rhythm. The flower doesn't rush to open its petals. The fruit doesn't ripen ahead of its season. The river never doubts its destination. Nature trusts because it never doubts its own nature. And though you've forgotten, you are part of it too. When your heart aligns with that natural pulse, the urge to force disappears. You stop pushing, and things begin to fall into place on their own. When trust becomes presence, there comes a moment, perhaps the most sacred of all, when trust becomes more than an idea, it becomes presence. You no longer think, "I trust that everything will be fine." You simply are fine. You no longer say, "I believe in the process." You become the process. That is real faith, not a belief, but a deep sensation of being supported by something vast. Watts called it trust in the order of chaos. And the truth is, when you trust, the universe responds, not because it rewards you, but because you stop blocking its flow. The universe never resists giving. It was you who resisted receiving. To trust is to open your hands and say, "I'm ready for whatever comes, even if it's not what I expected." And paradoxically, it's in that moment that the unexpected becomes perfect. Trust in life is trust in yourself. Alan Watts taught that life and you are the same thing. Life observing itself. There isn't a world out there you need to convince or manipulate. You are part of the game, part of the mystery, part of the dance. So to trust life is to trust yourself, your ability to adapt, to learn, to love, even amid uncertainty. Your natural wisdom, the one you had long before you learned to fear. Fear says, "What if it goes wrong?" Trust answers, "What if it goes right?" And if it doesn't go as planned, that's fine too, because everything has its place within the invisible fabric of existence. The soul's rest. Watts often said that when you trust, the soul rests, because you're no longer trying to direct a movie you can't control. You simply enjoy being the actor, improvising on the stage of the present moment. And interestingly, the more you trust, the more creative life becomes. Coincidences increase, doors open, synchronicities speak your new language, not because some external magic appears, but because you are finally in tune with the rhythm of the universe. And that's what every spiritual path points to, not to seek miracles, but to become one. Epilogue of trust. So when your mind doubts, when fear shouts, when the future seems uncertain, remember Alan Watts's words, the only way to have control over life is to stop trying to control it. Trust yourself. Trust the river. Trust that even storms lead you to places the sun never could have shown you, because trust is not a thought. It's a frequency, and when you vibrate at that frequency, the universe recognizes you. Real stories. Alan Watts used to say that spiritual ideas mean nothing until they're lived. You can read every book, repeat every mantra, meditate each morning, but if it doesn't transform the way you live, you're still asleep. He was right. Knowledge isn't wisdom until you've held it in your own hands, until you've seen it reflected in your own story. So now, let's listen to a few stories, not from temples or enlightened masters, but from ordinary people, people like you, who perhaps unknowingly embodied Watts's teaching. When you stop searching, everything arrives. Maria, love that arrived when she stopped seeking. Maria was 33 and anxious about love. Every relationship felt like a race against time. I'm running out of time, she'd tell herself. She saw her friends marry, have children, and she kept wondering what was wrong with her. She searched desperately for the right person, as if love were a spiritual mission. Dating apps, advice, self-help books, everything. But the more she searched, the more she found mirages. People who didn't choose her, loves that faded away. One night, after yet another breakup, something changed. Not sadness, just exhaustion, tired of trying, tired of forcing. That evening, she remembered a line she had heard in a Watts lecture. When you stop chasing happiness, you realize you've been running in circles. For the first time, she stopped. She looked inward. She allowed herself to enjoy solitude without trying to fill any void. She began painting, walking, cooking in silence, doing things simply because they made her feel alive. Months later, someone appeared, but this time there was no anxiety, no racing, no plans. Love arrived, and simply fit. Not because she searched for it, but because she no longer needed it. That's the most beautiful paradox of the universe. When you stop needing, things come naturally. Charles, the dream that returned on its own. Carlos dreamed of owning a small cafe, a warm place filled with the smell of fresh bread. But every attempt ended in frustration. Losses, debt, closed doors. Eventually he gave up. He sold his equipment, canceled everything, and decided to work as a barista in another shop. He had no expectations. He just wanted to enjoy coffee again, without the weight of success or failure. Months passed. A regular customer began to notice his passion. They talked, connected, believed in each other. A while later, that customer offered to partner with him. Today, Carlos owns his cafe, exactly as he had imagined it, but without the desperation he once carried. He often tells people, smiling, "My dream didn't come when I chased it, it came when I let it breathe." That's how life works. When you stop pushing it, it pushes you where you're meant to be. Laura, silence that said everything. Laura was a seeker by nature. Meditations, therapies, retreats, gurus, books. Each week, a new method, a new promise of enlightenment. Yet the more she searched for the answer, the more confused she became. Until one day, exhausted, she simply sat down on the floor of her living room. She turned off her phone, closed her eyes, and decided to do nothing, just breathe. At first discomfort, then silence, and in that silence, something dissolved. For the first time there were no questions, no struggle, only presence. And in that stillness, she understood what Watts repeated again and again: to stop searching isn't to give up, it's to realize you were already home. From that moment, Laura stopped seeking answers in books. She began hearing them within herself, in the sound of the wind, in the rhythm of her breath, in the simple act of being. Gurge. The lesson of failure. Jorge lost his business after 10 years of effort. His identity was tied to his work, and when everything collapsed, he felt worthless. For months he couldn't sleep, couldn't think. One night, wandering online, he found a talk by Alan Watts titled, "The Wisdom of Failure." In it, Watts said, "Failure is simply life's way of changing your direction." The words hit him like a bell in the chest. For the first time he realized he hadn't lost anything, he was just being redirected. Little by little he began to accept. He released anger, pride, fear, and in that process he rediscovered a forgotten passion, teaching. Today he teaches philosophy in a small school, and every time he quotes Alan Watts, he smiles. Because without that failure, he would never have found his purpose. The invisible thread. Watts said that the universe is a vast tapestry, and every thread has its place. Even if we can't see the pattern yet, up close it looks like chaos. But from a distance there's order. These stories of love, surrender, silence, transformation are different threads of the same fabric. They all share one essence. When the ego stops fighting, life begins to flow. It's not that everything magically becomes perfect. It's that perfection was always there, hidden beneath resistance. Watts used to say, "The universe plays hide and seek with itself, and you are the game." When you understand that, every story, yours, mine, everyone's, becomes a dance. And in that dance, even clumsy steps belong to the rhythm. You have a story too. Maybe you're in a waiting season right now. Maybe something hasn't arrived. A door hasn't opened. An answer hasn't shown up. You feel you've done everything right, and yet the universe stays silent. Watts would say, when the student stops demanding an answer, silence becomes the teacher. Life isn't punishing you. It's teaching you to trust. It's showing you that not everything is obtained by pushing, but by allowing. Your story is still being written. And even if you can't see it now, every pause, every loss, every delay is weaving something beautiful. Trust that. Because when you stop searching with fear, life will find you with love. Loving. The teaching. Alan Watts used to remind us that wisdom isn't about knowing more, it's about living differently. You don't need a monastery, a mantra, or a method. You just need awareness in the ordinary. Observe without judgment. Let go of your constant need to fix or define. Trust the pauses, the silent intervals between one moment and the next. Be fully here, breathing, listening, feeling, and above all, laugh at yourself. Because humor is freedom, and freedom is the essence of enlightenment. The small things matter: gratitude, presence, gentleness. Each time you release control, even for a heartbeat, you align a little more with the effortless intelligence of life. Watts said, "Stop looking at the water for your reflection, just drink from it." When you live this way, peace stops being a goal and becomes a state of being. Closing reflection. Alan Watts never taught escape. He taught participation, to live fully, to feel deeply, to trust the mystery rather than fear it. When you understand this, everything softens, love stops hurting, fear loses power, and silence becomes sacred. So the next time you feel stuck, pause, look around. Perhaps what you've been waiting for isn't on its way. Perhaps it's already here. Watts said it best. The secret of life is not to seek the answer, but to fall in love with the mystery. You are that mystery, awake, breathing, and endlessly unfolding. Stop running, stop searching, just be. Call to action. Thank you for joining me on this inner journey. If this reflection touched you, brought calm, or opened a new way of seeing, I invite you to subscribe to the channel and continue exploring the timeless vision of Alan Watts, Buddhism, and the wisdom of letting go. And share your voice in the comments. What are you ready to release? Which idea stayed with you the most? Remember, you don't need to look for more light. Just open your eyes to the sunrise already within you. When you stop searching, everything arrives.